Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Today, when you're watching tennis as a couch potato, what should you be looking for? What should you really be doing except stuffing your face? Stay tuned. So if you're a couch potato, which I know a lot of you are, and you guys like watching tennis just like me, while you're eating your food and watching the ball go back and forth on the screen, right, and not watching anything else, we have advice for you. If you want your tennis to be better, right, we will tell you what to watch, okay? Of course, I got my tennis expert, Coach Andrew Gu, here with me today, and we are going to show you the way as to what to watch, right? What to look for when you're just sitting on the couch watching tennis, okay? So Coach Gu,
yes,
what is the number one thing that, besides looking at the ball going back and forth, that we should be watching in a professional tennis match?
The first question I would ask myself or ask you guys is, who's your favorite player? Right? So everyone has a favorite player. For me, that's Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. For Harry, let's say, what's your favorite player?
Well, I like Andre Agassi, and I love Ivan Lendl's backhand.
So the biggest thing is just trying to emulate or try to look at how they hit their stroke. How they prepare, how they make contact. There's something that you want to take notes of because they're the best in the world for a reason, right? Because that's how they became who they are. So watching their contact point, watching how they kind of go through and prepare for their shots, that is something that you want to take note of for sure.
So do you actually want to emulate the shot itself? Do you want the full motion, hopefully getting to that contact point?
In a way, yes and no. Yes, you want to watch how they prepare. That's everyone's kind of main goal, is how do you prepare faster for when the ball comes to you. Everyone has a different stroke. Like if you watch all the pros, they all have similarities, but they all have different takebacks. So you just have to watch and understand and try, right? So like for me, what I would always watch is certain forehands. Like I don't have the same forehand as Federer or the same forehand as Nadal because he's a lefty. But I can try to emulate their takebacks in a way that I can be prepared to play my tennis. Contact point, you always want to watch where they contact their ball usually. About, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, they're taking their balls in front. On Tennis Channel and ESPN, and then they just always slow it down. There's always a slowdown of where they're contacting the ball. You want to make sure you watch how they emulate that.
Right, or even in the magazines, every magazine, when they show a forehand, what does it look like?
It's always in
front.
Right
there, right? Your chin and your eyes are behind the ball that's contacting it right out in front of you.
And that racket's right there in front.
Okay. What else are we looking for?
Another thing I'm looking for is working on patterns. If you watch closely how they start off the points, how they create the point, right? So for me, if I watch Federer or Nadal, they always start their points majority of the time cross court, about, I would say, a good 70 to 75 to even 80% cross. This is to establish rhythm, and it's the highest percentage shot in tennis, right? When we play our own tennis, we're just like, oh, we just hit this ball anywhere it goes. That's not how tennis is played. There's something behind the meaning of every single shot they hit, right? So I always watch what kind of patterns they're setting up. For me, I watch Nadal play. He goes high and heavy cross court, about 3 to 4 balls, or even 5, and then goes high and heavy back to down the line, and then reworks the point. Or Federer, for example, if you notice, Federer almost doesn't really hit a lot of one-handers unless he's pressured to. If you watch his old prime self, he hits a lot of inside-out forehands, right? And it's usually forehands cross court, and when he gets in control, when he goes down the line, you'll see him actually going around his inside out forehand and attacking inside out to the backhand side. That's how I emulate my game.
Yeah. So watch their pattern. Watch how they, where they hit it to, and structure out the point. Okay. What else are we looking for?
I'm also looking for serve patterns. As you people watch tennis, there's always like a stat line, right? There's a stat line, and sometimes they show a grid of the tennis court. Now you're asking yourself, okay, why are they serving 75% cross court or wide, and maybe about 75 to 80 or even 85% cross, and a few down the tee? You ask yourself why. Like a lot of people, like people who don't watch tennis, they're like, or who do watch tennis but just don't know what that means, is the percentage of serves. As you can tell, just watch from their serves. From the first serve, usually pros, majority of them go cross. They go all wide, out wide. Deuce on the deuce side, wide is their first serve. The reason why is one is the most easiest serve. It is not. You don't have to generate power. You just will focus on your spin. It's a placement serve, and it's effective. There's a reason why every ball they hit has meaning. There's an importance behind the shot. Is because they're trying to dictate time away from their opponents. So watch their serve placement, right? Watch how actually their speed, right? Watch actually what kind of ball they hit on the serve, and where they're placing it usually, right? First serve, second serve, there's always a meaning behind those serves.
Right. So I would like for you guys to check out when it's a critical time. Like if they have set point, right? Where do they serve? How do they try to get that easy point? Watch for that. Watch for those things. Mm-hmm. What else are we looking for?
I would say the footwork. Footwork is always important. It's very underrated, especially if you're watching tennis. We're always so engaged on the ball and how they are striking the ball, but sometimes we don't understand how they're moving. So in tennis, all of us can relate is how do they move the ball so fast and so efficiently, right? For us, it's like when you start as a beginner, you're worried about how to hit the ball back instead of worrying about how do you get to the ball, right? We're so used to being, okay, we can sprint forward and back, but we don't know how to move side to side or even diagonally, right? That's kind of foreign to us. So watching how they set up for a certain shot, even on the run, is just learning how they move so fluidly to each ball, right? Watching how effective they're using their crossover steps or their split step, or how explosive their first step must be when they land right after their split step.
It's amazing to me that how little pros are sedentary. Like, I know that just from going to different places and watching, you guys play tennis, that you hit a ball and you kind of stand there for a couple seconds before you move to where the ball will be. Mm-hmm. So you wait until the ball is struck before you kind of gather yourself and get over there.
But that's a little too late.
You're done by that point usually. So watch how the pros usually, they don't take a break. They strike the ball, they're moving back to center, or they're exploding somewhere else with a split step to kind of prepare for the next step or the next shot. It's kind of like a marathon, like put together with a 50-yard sprint, because you're marathoning, kind of getting ready, and when the ball is struck, you explode like a sprint to that ball, to that position. Mm-hmm. So watch that sometimes. Their feet are always moving. They are in great shape, though. So
they're amazing.
That is why.
Shape. I know a lot of people don't like to watch doubles, but if you want to watch intense footwork in a double scenario, the Bryan brothers, who just recently retired, they're the legends of American tennis, especially in doubles. Watch their footwork. They're insanely fast and crazy. Like, we take kind of doubles for granted almost, because you have to realize how much footwork it goes into that and how they get ready, especially like when you're at that net getting ready to receive a volley after the return. So shout out to the Brown brothers if you're watching.
Right. People take doubles kind of for granted because, club doubles is different than pro doubles by a long shot. I mean, the ball is coming like 100 miles faster, let's say, right? You can get hit in the head and get a concussion in the pros if you ain't paying attention. So it's a lot of little micro steps that you have to prepare yourself for so you don't get shot in the chest or the arm because you're not paying attention. So it's a different game. It's a lot of footwork in professional doubles, and if you guys incorporate that, you'll be better doubles player for it. Now, the final thing I'm going to say is back when I was in high school, I watched a lot of Agassi. He was my idol, right? That was just when Lendl was kind of coming off the tour, but I definitely admired his backhand. And then I watched, obviously, Jimmy Connors as a little kid, Johnny Mack, right? Then we moved into Pete, Stefan Edberg. But my coach was like, stop watching those guys. You'll never be like them. What are you talking about? So he's like, watch the women. Watch the women. They are way slighter. They have to set up perfectly every time to strike the ball perfectly. So, which is very true. I realized that years ago that's extremely true. Even in today's game, that is even more true because you see all these guys with way open stances and all they're doing, it looks like they're just slapping at the ball, but making it go like 100 miles an hour past the net. But if you watch like Simona Halep, for instance, even Serena Williams, right? They set up perfectly almost all the time. Their left foot, if they're a righty, comes forward all the time, right? The shoulders are always turned. When they strike the ball, it's always up front. There's nothing lazy really about the women's game. They have to be perfect. It's actually how we should emulate our games towards. Because it's like what my teacher said, my coach said, if you can be one of the top women's players in the world, right, you'd be a tough person to beat. Coach Goop?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I have experienced that myself since I was a hitting partner for Bank of the West. Now, I forgot who sponsors it now. And it's true. I mean, a lot of the women really set up really well and very quickly. So they're very precise. They know what they're doing. And honestly, it's very respectable with what they do because we almost take it for granted because we see it on TV. It's like, it's women's tennis. But playing with them and actually getting to understand and watch them do it in person really changes your mind on women's tennis because it is true. They have to get ready. It's not like as men's we can get away with our athletic ability to slide, right? Some on the women's tour don't have that kind of, I guess, flexibility.
Well, they don't have that muscle. They're not big people, they're not 6 foot tall.
Yeah,
250.
and they have to be on point in a way, I would say. But yeah, their technique is spot on, and it's very underrated. So I would say you're right about that one.
I mean, I've heard that Victoria Azarenka hits as hard as a dude. I mean, when she unloads on that forehand, it's coming, and it's coming fast.
I mean, I got the hit with Venus, so I know they can hit it.
Right? All right, guys. So that's what to look for, guys. Just to quickly sum it up. What's number 1?
Of course, who's your favorite player to emulate?
Number 2?
Patterns, what kind of patterns they hit.
Number 3?
Serves, where they place their serves.
And number 4?
Footwork as usual.
And number 5? Hit like a girl. Nah, hit like a pro, guys, okay? Hit like a woman's pro. Be that perfect stroke. Want to thank my man, Coach Goo, for hanging out with me today and doing this great video. Coach Goo, where can we find you?
You can find me at ag.tennis. I'll also be posting content there as well.
All right. Thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis.